And also Patrick Redmond is going to be hosting these meetings from here on out. He is out sick today, so I'm going to do my best to take over for him on these slides today. Just challenge after challenge this morning, so just bear with me. Trevi, you want to move us along? Thank you. So here's kind of our topic. We've reformatted the town hall slightly. So these are kind of our agenda. You'll see we're going to go through our digital equity, our updates. Trevi and I are going to do a little FAQ overview, and then we'll look at what we've been doing and then what's coming up, and we'll close with questions from anybody here in attendance today. Feel free to pop those questions in the chat if something comes up, so you don't lose that question. So we will try to address all of those at the end. Oh, by the way, the topic, we are doing these by topics each month. So with obvious things going on, the topic of this month's town halls will be all about the challenge process. So digital equity, first up. So we did get our plan approved. We did get that back from NTIA within the last week or so, and the NOFO did get published. We are reading through that at the same pace as the rest of you. So we don't have a lot of details out about that yet, but we will have a town hall focused on that coming up here in due time. So just be patient with us as our grants team is really pushing through and reading the info and finding out everything they need to know about that. Next. So you will find we have published a new page on our website about digital equity. And you can find that under that top bar about digital equity. There's not a lot there. Our approved plan has been posted, so you can read it there. And we will be posting a lot more content as we get a little more familiar with this program. Updates and resources. So, yes, just sorry to back up on the digital equity. We did get approved for $6.5 million for that digital equity grant. So Josh Russo is new to our team. He is our new broadband grant manager. And so welcome, Josh. I think you see him on the call today. How to get answers. We are asking everybody to submit their answers formally to our NDOT broadband office at nebraska.gov email. It is our shared email box. So the intention there is, we are really overlogged right now with challenges. So it's the best way for you and us to answer those questions. We are trying to populate those questions and answers to our FAQ page. So in that way, we know everybody is working with the same information. And also just, keep an eye on our website. We are adding a new page called a resources page where we will be sharing resources for providers, for advocates in this process. Mostly, I think this is going to be geared at most of you who are on this call. And if there's resources you would like us to link to, please feel free to share those with us. So normally in this bot, we will be doing having our monthly guest speaker. Today we thought Trevi and I will just kind of go through a lot of what we're seeing come in through phone calls, emails, however they've come in, people we've met with, about what are the frequently asked questions, what questions are we getting in, and just sharing those answers with you. And again, at the end, we'll take more questions and try to get the answers for you there. So, Trevi, obviously, maybe we've been getting so many questions filtered through us for about the challenge process. And I thought maybe we could talk a little bit first about, how the challenge process is going, what we're doing internally. We are halfway through. I think we've gotten, I don't know, Trevi, do you have an update on how many challenges we've had submitted so far? I think you were in there this morning.
I was in there this morning. Yesterday morning, it was 1,500. I didn't look at the total this morning, and I know we triggered an area challenge in the afternoon yesterday, so I don't have those updated numbers.
Well over
it is
1,500.
definitely getting up there. Yes.
So, and we know that the last week will probably be our biggest push where we'll have the most. So we are just we're bracing. Meanwhile, so just to kind of for clarity, what our office is doing right now is we have an adjudication team that's working with the AG's office here. And every morning we kind of go through the challenges, and we are reviewing those challenges to make sure that they meet the minimum level of evidence. And if they do, we mark them as challenged into our system. If they don't meet minimum level of evidence, we are rejecting them for technicalities. We are notifying whoever submitted that challenge that they have been rejected. On Fridays, we are publishing all of the challenges and their statuses. So you can see there that if you were named in a challenge, you can see if it was rejected or if it's marked as challenged, it is open for rebuttal. So with that, Trevi, how do I get a question answered? I talked a little bit about that, but do you want to add anything more?
Yes. So, as Rachel said earlier, we are looking for most of our questions through the ndot.broadbandoffice@nebraska.gov inbox, just so that we can collaborate and make sure we get you the best answer possible as quickly as possible. But if you have a question that you feel like someone else might have already had, we do have that FAQ tab on our website, which has quite a few of the questions that have been asked so far posted already.
Awesome. Thank you.
I think the number one question that I've seen so far is, can I do a bulk challenge? Can I send you a CSV or an Excel file in some manner so that I can get all of the locations that I cover uploaded all at once?
Right. Yeah, that has been a very common question, I'm sure. And if you haven't had this question already answered directly, basically we're saying, the way the portal is working, there is the limitation of the portal is 50 challenges, 50 locations at a time. So you will have to go in and use that lasso tool to select, either use the lasso tool to select it. Once you've lassoed things, you can hit the plus or minus to add locations or to change, to deselect a location, or with the lasso. You can also control click individual locations to add more to that file or to create a challenge. But that is the only way we have to do multiple location challenges at this time, or we will have. Excel files absolutely can be submitted as part of your evidence to one of those challenges. We are seeing a lot of challenges come in and they just have the same Excel file uploaded to multiple different challenges that are submitted, and that's absolutely fine. If you have one Excel file you want to upload, that as long as that evidence is contained within that challenge, that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, and I think the question that I've also gotten that has gone along with that is what version of the FCC map we're using, and that is the version 3.2.
Yes, awesome. Thank you. One of the questions I've been seeing, Trevi, as an ISP, how do I challenge a location I already serve on the map? None of the options really quite seem to fit.
Yes, so we are asking that you file a planned service challenge if you already serve that area and it's not reflected on the map. It's the best option for you to reflect all of the information we're asking for, and that is a little bit more in terms of evidence. We are looking for example, contracts or permits, something that you can show that the work is either underway or completed. And if it is completed, please note that for us. and give us a little bit of information about the speeds you're offering there, when it was completed, so that we know that it's done. I know it's not the most ideal way to file that challenge, but it's the best way for us to get all the information possible to make sure that that is actually BEAD and eligible.
Yeah, thank you. You want to take the, go ahead.
So what goes hand in hand with the planned service challenge is an enforceable commitment challenge, which is a little bit different. But one of the top questions we're seeing with the enforceable commitment challenge is it asks you to name an internet service provider, and what internet service provider should you select then?
So it may seem intuitive, it may not. Obviously, it's not as intuitive because we are getting this question a lot, but you are going to select yourself as the provider. With that, when you select yourself, the portal automatically will send you a challenge notification that you have challenged yourself. So the follow-up with that is, what do I do when I get a challenge? When I get a challenge notification, do I need to rebut that? You don't need to rebut it. I mean, you can. It doesn't really do anything. So if you just let that sit, we know you submitted it. A rebuttal is not required.
Yes.
It's just
So,
that's just an automatic process of the portal system.
yeah. And planned service and enforceable commitment do go hand in hand. I just want to lightly go over the distinction between them because I do think they're the main ones, specifically this audience is going to be utilizing. But planned service is private investment, and it needs to meet the BEAD speeds and everything like that, but it also has to be done by June 30th of 2025. And once you do submit that challenge, we will eventually be looking for you to sign a document, basically attesting to the fact that you will have that done in time and that it'll meet the speeds that we're asking for. But enforceable commitment is going to be any grant funded program. So you're going to submit that when you have already accepted funds to do a deployment, and that just needs to be completed on the grant timeline. On that note, we are seeing that some large areas, specifically with the broadband bridge funds, but a couple other funds are being shown as unserved. So Rachel, do you want to explain why we're seeing that and what to do in case?
Sure. I mean, so our map is up to date with all the information that we have. So if you notice that locations that you were granted on another project were omitted, please file a challenge to that map. Whether, these would be most likely, these would be enforceable commitments that were omitted from the map. So make sure you follow those enforceable commitments, submit evidence that you were awarded the grant, the locations that were also named the grant, and the locations that you are serving under that grant. The whole intention of this challenge is to make sure the map is correct. So please keep filing those challenges and helping us get the map accurate. We do appreciate the work that's going into this. So
Yes.
With that, Trevor, you want to talk about, we've asked, a couple of these things we talked about. I talked about MLE a little bit for a minimum level of evidence. Why might a challenge get rejected?
So there are a couple reasons that a challenge can be rejected. The main one that we've been seeing so far is that the evidence doesn't necessarily match the correct address or information that you're providing us on the basis of the challenge. We've had to reject a couple challenges based on that one. But beyond that, it also needs to be in writing in an official format. So we're also seeing situations where people will submit just a Word document and they say, I did this, or we saw this, and we're not considering that evidence under the NTIA qualifications for how we're supposed to accept that. So just be aware that we need you to submit official documents. If it's a permit, we need to see the actual permit, just not just a attestation that you have it, something like that. And you will also be notified if your challenge is rejected, and it'll tell you that it's not going to be going through.
But I think on the same point too, so if you see a challenge in there and you see something wrong with the evidence and it is marked as challenged and not rejected, feel free to do a rebuttal and share that information with us in case we have missed something that you notice, to say, you know, this address doesn't match with this. But we are trying to be very diligent about, as we comb through all of these challenges and looking at the evidence and matching it up. But so that file that gets uploaded on Fridays, you should be able to see if you got notified that you have an opportunity to rebut. You can always check there to see if that evidence, if that challenge was moved forward to that challenge phase for rebuttal. If not, it will show it as incomplete. The other thing, I was going to say, one other thing that we've also seen rejected is because not enough evidence was submitted. So maybe it wasn't clear, like, you know, yes, I've done this, but we don't have any evidence to show that you actually did complete the work. There weren't permits, there weren't speed tests submitted. And so we will follow up and just say, you know, we need additional evidence.
And on that note, another reason we've seen challenges get rejected is if it appears for example, an internet service provider is filing an enforceable commitment and they're meaning to name themselves, and then they name a different ISP by accident. So we've rejected a couple of those challenges. It has come up. If you're named in a challenge and it doesn't seem right, it's an enforceable commitment, you're like, this is not me, just let us know. We are reviewing them daily, but letting us know is always helpful, or you can rebut the challenge and provide that information to us.
Perfect. So talking about rebuttals, Trevi, do you want to lead off about rebuttals?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you haven't been named in a challenge yet, you may not have encountered this, but the next step for you to do is to submit a rebuttal. Once you receive notification, so that's either the email, which you should be receiving if you haven't spoken with me or Rachel to get an email notification set up, please let us know. Or that starts as soon as it's posted to the website on Friday. So once that starts, it's that 30-day rolling clock. You have 30 days to get us evidence that the challenge is either incorrect, or you also have the option to agree with the challenge. So if you take a look at the location and you say, yep, that's mistaken, we don't serve that location, you can just select agree, and it expedites the entire process for us.
We appreciate it.
Yes.
So say I was notified I'm an ISP and I got notified of an area challenge. Can you talk, and Trevi, you are the perfect person to talk about this because you're doing the legwork on this one. Can you talk about when does that clock start, and can you just talk about how does an area challenge actually get triggered?
Absolutely. So an area challenge is triggered when there are 6 locations within a census block group that are challenged with the same provider and same technology. And this one is only available on availability, latency, speed, those challenges. So when 6 do light up in the same census block group, the entire census block group has been challenged. And whatever ISP is named is responsible for providing evidence for all of the locations they serve within that census block group. So what we have to do on the Nebraska Broadband Office side is, as I'm sure you noticed, our portal is a very manual portal, and that process is on our shoulders. So we have to go in and light up that entire census block group for you. It'll say this is part of an area challenge and what type of challenge that is going to be and against who, but you are not responsible for the rebuttal until we have gone in and lit up that entire census block group, because we know you can't submit that rebuttal until we file those challenges.
Right. So, and what that will mean is you will get we will send you an email with the language from our IPv1 outlining what evidence is required for a census block group. And while that's going out, hopefully within the day, that'll kind of give you a heads up that this is coming. And then Trevi's literally manually, just like you guys are, having to do this in the portal, going with that lasso tool, having to identify all those locations that are impacted. So you will get those you'll get notifications on all those locations as well. You'll get a notification from the portal that the office has challenged those locations as a, it will not say when you get the automatic notification that this is an area challenge. We will be sending a manual email notifying you that that's coming, but that's why you'll have that heads up to know that's coming. And it is taking a bit of work, as you know, for us to get those all lit up and filed. So
Yes. Rachel.
So thanks Trevi for doing that.
it's we're getting through it. One other question: what if you receive a challenge and you don't submit a rebuttal? For some reason, a rebuttal doesn't get through. What happens in that situation?
If a challenge is submitted and nobody rebuts it, it likely will be upheld. So it's super important that if you get named in a challenge that you don't think is accurate, that you should rebut that challenge and let us know with evidence that will overturn that challenge. So what do they do if they think the challenge is correct?
Then they get to agree with it and save us all the work.
So awesome. What do I do if I think the challenge seems mistaken though?
So
like
that's
say there's a mistake in this that's maybe not about the evidence, even that's not about
right.
Go ahead.
Yes. So I think we talked about it just a little bit before, but there are situations where an internet service provider will accidentally name the wrong provider, or someone else will name the wrong provider. In that case, you can send us an email. We are happy to answer that. Or you can also put it in the rebuttal information. We're tracking both daily, so we're going to see it either way.
Awesome. So I think that covers most of the questions we've got. Again, just, if you have questions, we'll take them here at the end. Also, you can send those to our inbox. So looking back, this past month's been kind of busy for our office, even outside of the challenge period. We are still working on all of these other things. We did meet with the U.S. Census Bureau. They did a little tour through the state. Director Robert Santos was there with his team. It was really great to meet with him and to hear what they're doing and how they're looking at how they would like to do the 2030 census differently, and wanting to know how those rural people are going to be able to participate online and they would really like to do that census completely online. Also at that meeting, we hosted UNL Extension, and the Nebraska Library Commission was also there to engage in all the different topics that the Census Bureau impacts. So that was a pretty productive meeting. Then we hosted the Nebraska Hispanic Chamber of Commerce here. Here at DOT, they were celebrating their 19th anniversary, and Patrick Haggerty spoke about BEAD and digital equity that they were very, very interested in. So that was a nice highlight for the month. And our office also met with Senator Fisher's office with the FCC. I think Trevi, you attended that.
Yes.
Who else was in attendance there?
So Commissioner Carr from the FCC and Senator Fisher were essentially the hosts of the meeting, but we also got to meet with the Public Service Commission and kind of talk about our partnership with them, as well as quite a few representatives from internet service providers across Nebraska, and have some great discussions about what the obstacles towards broadband in Nebraska are and what we're hoping to see in the future.
Thank you. And so, and next up, kind of for our office is, so this is all about the challenge right now. So April 14th will be the last day for anyone to submit those challenges. The rebuttals are a rolling clock from the time you get notified of a challenge. You have 30 days. Each challenge is an individual rolling clock. And then the determinations our office will make, our adjudication team will make have all of our decisions made by June 14th then. So we also have a rolling clock on all of those rebuttals. But the last day for us to make any decisions will be the 14th. And then next month, we will be hosting our town halls based on broadband ready communities. And if there's anything on that topic that you want to hear about, please let us know. Also, if you have suggestions for topics for future town halls, we would be happy to entertain all of those suggestions. So I think now we're at our Q&A. So feel free to unmute yourselves, raise your hand, put questions in the chat if you have them, and we will collaboratively try to answer any of those questions and what we can do for you guys. Yes, Alyssa.
Hi. Yeah, I was wondering, does this map, this portal, does it update the Nebraska map at all when it's finished?
It will, yes. Once we have made our determinations, we send those to NTIA for them to make their final determination, and then we will update the map with that. That is exactly what this process is about, is updating those map according to those services.
So then in the future, we'll send our updates to the hub or to the fabric and also the state?
So once the challenge process is done, this map is locked in. We cannot change it after
Right,
this.
but if it's going to talk back to the Nebraska map, we're going to
I'm
continue
sorry.
build outs. So then will they, because that won't talk to the fabric anymore, right? Or they won't download from the fabric anymore?
Well, so our map, the broadband availability map is separate. And so the challenge just reflects this map. So that's what gets locked down. You will have to continue to file those other things with the FCC. And
so then what if there's like an ILEC already serving an area that we are building to because it was part of the grant process? So what if we both serve it, but yet we didn't challenge it because we don't want to knock them out either? So will it list both? How will it list both providers?
Patrick Haggerty, I think you're on. Do you want to address this?
Yeah. Hey, good morning, Alyssa. I think we haven't necessarily crossed that bridge yet, Alyssa, but what I'm thinking is we'll probably, because the BEAD mapping, for the purposes of BEAD, we'll have to freeze because once approved by NTIA, that becomes our inventory of eligible funding locations or eligible locations to be funded. We'll probably create a separate layer then that continuously updates the map through your submissions to the FCC's fabric. That FCC fabric is going to continually be the initial foundation, initial layer, if you will, of what we upload to our map. And then, as we move forward as a state and we begin to learn things, on the ground, we'll figure out ways and we can make amendments, periodically beyond just the fabric, more real time, if you will, Alyssa. We'll figure out how to get that done. And then, but always that fabric for the foreseeable future is always going to be that initial foundation. I just think we'll have to try to figure out a way to separate the BEAD locked in map from what the ongoing, continuously evolving map looks like.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. So should we, Rachel, then continue not to, so like there's some places that say it's an enforceable commitment by NUSF 133, and it's one of our grant locations. Should we not challenge that area? Because it's already green, it's already saying enforceable with the NUSF 133.
If you serve it and it's not shown that you serve it, you absolutely can challenge that to get added.
Okay.
But
It
yeah,
won't
but Allison,
necessarily.
if it's correctly reflected accurately on the map as an enforceable commitment, you don't need to challenge that. That'll remain as it is unless somebody brings another challenge to it to say, we don't think this is, you don't need to do anything with it as long as it's accurately reflect on the map now.
Okay, so if it's green already and we agree with it, even though we're going to serve it, leave it alone because it's part of our grant enforceable commitment.
Yep, it's accurate on the map and that won't be a broadband serviceable location that can be funded.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry to jump in, Rachel.
That's okay.
No, please. So Tip put a question in the chat. Does the current map include enforceable commitments from the broadband bridge program? So this, we have run into this. It does include some of them, but not all of them. And I don't have a great answer of which ones, and which we know some of the older ones are not included, but it's not even in their entirety. Best I can tell you is the information that we have is in the map. So if it's not on the map, we don't have that information. We have not had that information available to us. So this is why we need you to file those challenges, so we can get that map up to date.
Yeah, and I might just add to that, Rachel, thanks to all of you for your patience and the extra work this is going to create. We still haven't, between ourselves and the Public Service Commission, figured out which files, the Public Service Commission handed off everything they had in order for us to update our maps. That's what you're all seeing. Obviously, there was some data lacking in there somewhere. We had a pretty good discussion about whether or not we tried to figure that out and update the map real time as you all are working the challenge piece. In the end, we thought that might be a bigger distraction than just simply keeping the map the way it was and asking all of you to support the accuracy of the map by going in and making the challenge that, yes, we have an enforceable commitment through this bridge program or through this NUSF order, and we'll just update the maps through your challenges then. Those will become obviously amendments that we then submit to the NTIA for approval.
Thank you. Any other questions we can help with?
I have one.
Ashley.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Hi. So if we receive a challenge on like an MDU, and it's just that when the challenger entered the address into our website, they didn't include a unit number, or the MDU has multiple addresses, like multiple street addresses as well, because it's a large building, right? How many addresses do you need us to give you back to rebut that challenge? I don't want to go overboard and send you a ton of addresses within that building, but I also don't want to not provide enough evidence. So that's essentially my question.
So if an MDU gets challenged, I'll have to look up exactly. I don't know that off the top of my head. I don't know if Trevi, if you do, but I'm going to encourage you to check if those MDU challenges actually got through as a challenge. I know if they don't include a unit, we have rejected all of those. So for as incomplete.
And Ashley, on that note, MDU challenges are almost like mini area challenges. We are asking that if you're going to challenge an MDU, you need to have 3 units represented or 10% of the building, whichever is larger. So if that's not present, the full challenge hasn't been triggered yet.
Okay, Trevi, I might reach out to you because I think they challenge them as individual addresses as opposed to doing them as an MDU challenge. And they did come through to me and it says I can click through and rebut them. So I might send you, there's like a list of them. They did them all at once.
Okay, yes.
I might reach out to you just to make sure they didn't accidentally sneak through and didn't get identified as MDUs, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we've been working with the advocate. We talked with the advocate who is submitting those too, and notified them that they need to include unit numbers.
Okay.
So
we send an email with like the list of the challenges I'm referencing, and then we can just make sure if I don't need to rebut them, great. Let's work for everyone. But if I do, I just want to make sure I do it in the right way. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I appreciate you helping keep us honest on these challenges too, because our intention is about the accuracy of the map. So
absolutely.
So we are trying to follow what's in our IPv1. So I appreciate that. Thanks for catching those. Anybody else have any questions? All right. Well, if you do have any questions, I encourage you to use that email address there on the page. Also, keep checking our website. Look at those FAQs. You might find answers there. Again, we're trying to populate that FAQ page so everybody has access to the same information. So if you have a question, somebody else probably has the same one. So go ahead and shoot it over to us. We will try to our best of our ability to get those up on that page and answered for you guys. With that, if there's no more questions, we will see you guys next month to talk about broadband ready communities. Thanks, everybody.